about bloodboards?
Yeah. So, we talked about it a little bit on the show before, the eviction moratorium. And I know we all had okay, yeah. So we've talked about it a little before, and we feel bad for people getting kicked out of their house, but what do we do at this point, right? So the Supreme Court original ruling was that no, the executive branch of government could not just take houses away from landowners.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, in order to continue to do this, we have to have the Congress pass litigation that actually states you can't charge rent for this reason, and most likely people would have to get paid. The landowners would get paid back rent from the government. So, needless to say, it didn't get through Congress in time, right? So, knowing that it was illegal, the executive branch tried to re-up the eviction moratorium, and for the second time, the Supreme Court has struck it down. So, as of I believe tomorrow, people can start filing eviction notices.
Oh fuck!
So everybody has 1 month to get out of their houses.
Didn't like part of the stimmy packages, didn't that cover like some help to help people pay back like their back rent?
It went to states, and the states issued it out, and most of the people that got it, there was no stipulation for what it was for. So they could have got the money for rent, but they could have used it on food or houses or cars, power, a lot of other stuff that costs money when you don't have a job.
No.
So the question is, what are they gonna do? So first off, do we pursue the crime that we know was intentionally made, even though it was in good intentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think everyone's just kind of like, whatever. Nobody really cares about that. But the question is, if they try to re-implement it again, if they do what they did again, then I think we got to take the gloves off, and they are intentionally doing illegal acts.
So, like, thinking long term. So, like, maybe constitutional, like legally, this was illegal. But what about these people that are about to be out of their homes? Like, is that going to be just more strain on federal and state resources while these people apply for aid, if they even get it? What does it look like for housing? Especially like assisted housing. So like I'm just interested to see, like, not, I wouldn't say interested, but like I'm scared to see the outcome of it. But at the same time, like, we're treating the symptom and not the actual source of the issue. But like, what's the answer there? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So the question is, what do you think the actual issue is, right? Because that's the other big item that nobody agreed. So you have one half of people saying that technically the government caused this, right? So the government needs to fix it. And the other side is just like, well, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and let the fever run its course.
Mm-hmm. I think the real issue is, yeah, I like NJ was gonna say, I can't imagine exactly how this is gonna go, but like, I think the real issue is that one, people aren't going back to work because they're not getting paid enough. How do you fix that? By raising minimum wage, but no one wants to raise minimum wage.
So that's the issue we're running into, right? At this exact moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can literally go outside my neighborhood and there's a sign that says hiring bonus $300. The money is, the minimum wage isn't an issue, right? Because right now we have a federally prorated minimum wage at $16 an hour right now.
Mhm.
So if you sit at home on unemployment right now, you're making $16 an hour, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the average that's averaging out.
Mhm.
So people are getting the money right now and they're just choosing not to pay their rent. Some people, not everybody. But so
Yeah.
as like right now, I mean, a lot of companies are having to start at 15. But if you start somebody at 15 right now, then they're saying tomorrow, well, I need 20. It's just like it's a never-ending problem if we just keep like artificially increasing the wages. And that's kind of what we're suffering with the labor shortage right now.
Yeah.
And it's
And
just kind of hoping that the inflation that's hit everything over the last few years, the last 10 years, how everything has just exploded in price. Maybe they'll realize, oh, we were just being greedy. We really need to lower those prices down. The
Well, see-
housing market, education.
Well, that's a scary thing. You know, that comes back to the housing market, right? So the housing market's turning into a bubble.
Mhm.
And the longer we don't do anything about it, like a blister, it's growing. So just lance it at this point. It's like, yeah, you feel bad that people get kicked out of their house, but like we talked about last time, if what's worse, the bank foreclosing on the landowner and the bank taking the house and the person getting evicted anyway, and an American losing a source of income, so we're just driving into deeper economic problems,
Mhm.
or you evict somebody and they might be able to get an apartment tomorrow.
Here's an easy
yeah.
solution: tax the super fucking rich, like the 4 people who own the most amount of equity in the states, and there's 4 people.
But that comes back to the other issue. So you're talking about the capital gains tax, right? So capital gains tax, so somebody like Jeff Bezos, you would have to
Mhm.
put a capital gains tax, right?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't make $1 billion a year. As a person, he might only pocket 10 million, but his stock makes his net worth go up. So you want to tax his stock, which then in turn you're taxing unrealized gains of that stock. So how
Gosh,
do
what
you
a
get around that?
conundrum.
Yeah,
What a conundrum.
He's playing the system. At some point,
so-
he has to
but
pull
then
all his money
again-
out of that stock.
No, he can't. So if you said I'm going to tax Jeff Bezos 10%, right? And they're talking 70%. So he would have to liquidate 70% of Amazon stock overnight. Do you know what that would do to Amazon's stock price? That would tank.
Yeah.
So then everybody that owns Amazon stock would go from $1,000 a share down to $150 a share. So that's not making anything better.
I'm
That's
real
true.
glad I'm not in charge of these decisions. Like,
Economics hard.
but how do you vote for this? How do you okay, so like I see one side, but I see this side, and I just want to be on the human side, right? Like I want to help people, but I also don't want to fuck over these all these like landlords basically.
I bet you anything.
Yeah, you're talking.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what are you saying now?
I was gonna add something, but go ahead. I can finish my thought process afterwards.
We can all agree that small business owners have had a hard year, and so now what it looks like for other small business owners is that now the government finished with retail small business. Now they're targeting housing small business, and it's just like they're systematically targeting and killing industries.
Well, I mean, okay. So what I was gonna say before, I bet you anything, if everyone in Congress who's a public servant made minimum wage, we wouldn't be having this problem of like.
I don't think minimum wage, but at least like the median of an average American. Like, was it like 35, 37 now?
Yeah.
And not giving
That's the question. How do you naturally lift wages, not artificially? Because that's since 2008 when we had the financial crash, is like everything we've done is a artificial boost, right? Like the housing stimulus, because I benefit from it, right?
Mhm.
There's the Clash for Clunkers. That was a
Mhm.
stimulus to get money in. It was just like our issue is we've never had a natural wage growth, and to do that you need to innovate. You need something new, and you need companies like Apple. So instead of taxing Apple into oblivion, why don't we increase Apple's like incentives to build a better plant here to start making microchips here?
Well, how can you when there are companies like Amazon who don't give a fuck about where they're pulling things from and just like pull the lowest bidder for maximum profits?
But who else is to blame but the consumers, right? Like I think we need to take full responsibility for everything Amazon is. Like
But
Amazon wouldn't be what it is
oh no,
if
not
we didn't have that need,
oh sorry.
right? For cheap goods.
Did I accidentally say Amazon? I meant Walmart.
Oh, well,
But Amazon too. But the bigger problem is how can you be mad at the consumers when they don't have that much equity to splurge on like smaller businesses who are local because they either make minimum wage or below minimum wage.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a giant death spiral, right? Like
Yeah.
that's our whole issue. But again, I've made better attempts to shop locally, right? Like
Yeah.
if we say we want to go to your house for beer, where do we go? The corner store. That's small business. Like
I
we
do the same
try,
thing.
and that's all. I think that's all you can do is just everybody needs to try a little better.
Yeah, like I
So
like for
so
my
you don't
instrument
get
stuff.
overnight shipping from Amazon, and you have to go to Walmart tomorrow, or you got to go somewhere in person tomorrow. It's like
Pants. Just
pants,
kidding.
yeah.
Yeah. Or like all my music and my music equipment, like I've been buying from this local shop here, and I've been buying the polish, I've been buying the cleaners, I've been buying the strings from them just to be able to redirect the funds that I would throw at Guitar Center or Sam Ash to like a smaller business.
Yeah, it's just we've gotten to the point where we're not making anything, right? Like we're not
Mhm.
producing wealth, and that I
Mhm.
think that's more of an issue than taxation.
Yeah.
I think if we're gonna do anything, we need to start encouraging people to start building wealth in a way.
And analyze, I don't think the consumers should take responsibility for decades of corporate greed. I think the consumers should throw that corporate greed back at them and start buying
It's a
locally instead
simple,
of them.
But greed
yeah.
comes from the corporates telling you, hey, you need 2-day shipping. Hey, you need this. And it gets so bombarded at us that we start to turn our mindsets. It's, oh, I do need that. Oh, I do want that. And
Mhm.
so it's another endless cycle.
Yeah,
We
no,
don't really need that.
it's one of those
It's like
things
a
that
matter of convenience.
Hmm.
if you really have an issue with major corporations, stop supporting them. That's the step one, right? Because
Mhm.
the rule of consumer economics is that if there's a demand, there will be a supply. Just same. Look at illegal drugs. If there's a demand, there will be a supply. So if there is an evil corporation giving you cheap goods, well, that's because there was a demand for it, and they found the supply, which is slave labor in other countries.
Child labor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. For our friends in red, it is slave labor.
What?
Friends in red, the
I just
the Muslims.
I, I feel like I agree with Analyze like on a sense. Like there are a select few Americans that have such a large, like even if it's just like their assets, right? And like how much they truly make is significantly less than that. But it's a hell of a lot more than your average American is making too. So
Mhm.
like where can we find that fine line? I don't know. I'm not a political science major. I'm not a politician. I'm not an accountant. Like, I don't know. Like, what is the answer? And is it,
I think it's
is it,
the so Max Kaiser said one thing, and he said the American economy is going to crash, and it's going to be millennials or who are going to have to build it back.
Oh,
And
shit.
if millennials build something, they're going to want to build it on a Bitcoin standard. Simple as that. They understand it. They get it.
Yeah.
We're tired of being traumatized, man.
Like,
It's just been so much. Like we've gone through a lot. We're going through a pandemic. We're going through another housing crisis. We're going through all this shit again, and all these fucking dinosaurs that are up there in Congress right now aren't doing shit except passing to get themselves raises. Like I don't think that's right. And then you have Playboy billionaires fucking having a piss contest of who can get to space first. Like, it's exciting, but it's also disgusting that they have that much wealth.
I think I'll take, a 15-minute trip up into space and then float my ass back down. Like, okay, that must be nice.
We did it.
yeah, we made it to not space anymore.
Yeah, I think it's funny they changed. But again, I mean, so even if you don't like what Elon or Jeff Bezos did, they are building an industry and they're funding an industry in the United States. So like even for its worst aspects, they're still putting money back into the US economy, like to US citizens. They're paying those wages. Like SpaceX, you don't have to have a degree to work there.
Yeah.
You have to be able to complete the job. They do like job evaluations. So first off, you have to know somebody to know somebody. And they're like, yeah, that guy can turn wrenches like nobody else. They bring you in. If you do the job, you get it. Like they don't hire off degrees. Elon Musk doesn't believe in degree hiring.
Good for
Yeah, that's
Nice.
the thing I think that definitely needs to change. Like in any job hunt, like a lot of people are just like, oh, you have to have, X amount of experience in the industry and a master's degree. And if you don't have those qualifications, you don't even get a call back. It's like, why? Like if I have 10 years experience in the industry and no degree, I still have that experience in the industry. It didn't come from a classroom, it came from like on the job. So
And
I
I
think
take
that's
that
a
person
pretty
over
good thing.
degree any day.
I remember when
Yeah.
Apple announced their new programming language for their devices, and immediately developers were looking for people with like 5+ years experience in that language. But it was literally months old.
So there is that. I have that meme on my phone. I'll have to send it to you. But in the meme that I saw, the guy's like, so this job I applied for asked for 5 years of experience with this one coding, but I wrote the code 2 years ago. Like, he was the person that wrote and developed the code, but in order for him to work on it, he had to have 5 years of experience. I was like,
and that's some
What?
other bullshit, man.
Just the cycle is they want us to get these degrees. These degrees cost hella money. So by the time you actually have the degree, you don't have experience. And then you're thousands of or hundreds of dollars in debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And then you're broke. And you're so busy paying back your $70,000 loan that by the time you pay the $70,000 loan, you still owe $80,000.
Honestly,
Not
we
to
should just give
mention,
us to
you
the
can't
debt.
get it.
Mhm.
Not to mention the, actually finding a job in your field that will take you as a college grad and with no life or work experience.
Oh, you have a
Not
master's in this field? That's great. You should come intern with us.
No.
at minimum wage.
so
And
y'all
get
make me so
excited.
glad I didn't go to college.
Maybe we all should pick a trade. I'll be a welder.
IT is cool.
I'll be your
I got
resident IT
medieval
guy.
too.
Like-
Hey, I know a bunch of IT guys that make way more than me. And just installing fiber, you'll make more than me. But
heard
you
it
have to
about
be
that.
able to put little glass strands in this little thing like that. Like